Welcome to the Concealer Showdown. It was the summer of Barbie, but also the summer of luxury concealers, new era of formula, performance, and innovation. These are our brackets. We are gonna have 9 concealers, both classic and new. Duke it out. Starting with the Surreal Skin Concealer, Makeup by Mario. The foundation is here to watch. We're gonna have the competition between Dior, Mario, and Makeup Forever's new HD Skin Concealer. We're then gonna go into our next round. For Tower28's new Serum Concealer is gonna take on the classics, NARS and Haus, possibly the creamiest concealers of the bunch. And finally, last but not least, the most disruptive concealer of 2023, Natasha Denona, is gonna go up against Rare Beauty's loved concealer and the latest and greatest from Haus Labs. Are you ready for the Concealer Showdown? And don't forget, the winners are gonna compete against each other until we reach the goal. Make sure you vote who's gonna be in the encore. Make sure you vote for your wild cards. Who's gonna win? Let's start with Surreal Skin by Makeup by Mario. If you are someone who is perpetually oily around your eyelid area, I have never in my life used a concealer that actually forms what I would call almost a powdery layer, as opposed to seeing kind of this lubricated creasing effect that usually happens with traditional concealer formulas. It is the fastest setting concealer of every single concealer that we have laid out here. You do not need to use powder with it. In fact, I'd be pretty stunned to actually even think about using powder with it. We're getting a medium level of what I like to call neutral coverage, which means it's not too matte and it's not too radiant. My favorite attribute of the Mario concealer is its ability to self-set and negate the need for powder. This is the Makeup by Mario on one eye, and this is the bare eye, so you can assess the coverage level. Let's get into the next one. Makeup Forever HD Skin. What you're gonna notice immediately about Makeup Forever is how wet it is. That is gonna impact how this spreads down. Because it does not dry down as quickly as the Mario, it is gonna take you a little bit more effort in terms of blending, and you wanna be mindful of the amount of product you're gonna use. Really important to note, the creaminess is going to impact the setting ability, but you are gonna get a blurred out finish when you're done. This is for you if you want creamy, blurring, middle ground coverage, soft, radiant finish. This is the Makeup Forever done. I found it to be not as crease resistant as the Mario. Our last concealer for this first round, Christian Dior Forever Skin Correct. Let's go. This is actually even more wet than the Makeup Forever HD. This is also gonna provide a higher level of pigment. Higher pigment load that on my skin has allowed me to see more coverage from the Dior than any concealer we've reviewed in this category so far. The higher pigment load is also gonna yield the fact that you also don't get that natural concealed finish. You're not getting as much of a powderized effect. This does wear extremely well. This is the eye with the Dior. I also recommend setting this with powder. The winner of round 1 being the most innovative for its ability to self-set, Makeup by Mario. If you want a higher coverage, go for Forever and Dior. If you want more natural skin, go for the Makeup Forever. If you want self-setting and never using a powder, go for the Mario. Round 2 coming. Haus, the new Tower28, and the creamy NARS Radiant OG Concealer. NARS, Tower, Haus. Let's go. We all know our Radiant Creamy Concealer. She's our girl. NARS, you can see already how much thicker in terms of viscosity. This has been around for over a decade. If you are super dry, here is the level of coverage you're getting. You can see the split face. You will get creasing with this concealer. I would highly recommend using this with a powder. Here's my NARS Radiant Creamy on one eye. This is the kind of concealer that toes the line between that just natural look and that made up look. Next up, let's swipe, pun intended, Tower28. You will see how thin and almost gel-like we're getting the texture to appear on our skin. If you've ever used the Dior lip oil, you know what hydrogenated polyisobutane feels like. That's the second ingredient inside this little Rockstar Serum Concealer. My favorite personal feature is how clean and fresh it makes the skin look. Where we talked about NARS having that a little bit made up look, Tower definitely gives you all natural but uniformly covered queen. In this instance, I would say this is the best concealer of the entire competition for folks with sensitive eyes. You will experience a certain level of creasing. You may want to scope it out with a powder. Here's Tower28 on one eye. Here's my bare eye. The coverage it's giving, a little less than NARS, still super natural, fresh, and I think really pretty. Last but certainly not least, Haus. If you've been following me, you know how much I love this concealer. Essentially an eye cream with pigment. If you are more concerned with giving your eye area caffeine for depuffing, more skincare attributes because of the level of actives being so high, then the Haus concealer is definitely for you. A little bit bit less coverage than the Tower28. However, you can still build on the Haus and get there. Also less coverage than the NARS. Everyone's coverage level needs are different. I would say this is basically almost a tie between the Tower28 in terms of the finish that you're gonna get, in terms of that line we talk about where it still looks super natural. This is my eye done with Haus. This is my bare eye. Out of the three, because I have hereditary dark circles and am constantly prone to inflammation and puffiness around my eyes, for that reason, I have to go Haus because the caffeine gives me the puffing. A silver medal to Tower. Tower28 gives the same look and effect that the Haus does. So friendly to that sensitive skin. If you're a Haus lover and you want to switch it up a little bit and have a little variety in your life, definitely check out the Tower28. No shade to my Radiant, higher coverage than all. If you want radiant, creamy, and a little bit hydrating with glow, NARS. Next is round 3. Haus Labs. Natasha Denona, Rare Beauty. Round 3 of the concealer showdown. Let's go. Haus Labs. Been using this for weeks. A little bit of a love affair with this concealer. The innovation in this concealer is how lightweight and how much silicone is in here, which is going to really drive performance and is the most innovative thing about the formulation to deliver us an extremely lightweight, high-performing formula. I don't have to set this with powder, and it actually will look incredible 12 hours from now. From a performance standpoint, I've yet to find a concealer that works better than Haus Labs. This is the Haus Labs concealer with one layer on one eye, medium coverage. Let's go into the next one. Natasha Denona. Spencer called this out as the most disruptive concealer of 2023. Rose and Ben talked about this being her favorite concealer. What you're going to immediately see is how thin the texture of this concealer is. It is not rich. It is not creamy. It does not have the body that Haus Labs does, and it does not have the viscosity that Haus Labs does. What it actually does have is titanium dioxide extremely high up on the ingredient listing, which is going to act very much as an opacifying agent. Opacity means coverage. This is going to be an extremely thin, high-performing coverage concealer. I like the texture and the finish more than the Dior, more than any other high-coverage concealer I've used personally on my eye area. I do find I do have to set it with powder. I will get my ring of creasing on top of my lid, something that I don't experience as much with Haus Labs or at all really with the Mario. Here's the coverage level of the Natasha Denona concealer. We are definitely seeing a really striking difference in terms of how much this product covers. So if coverage is your most important attribute of what you're looking for, consider Natasha Denona. And now, last but not least, Rare Beauty. Let's go. This is a really wet style. It's going to be very similar in terms of the wet effect to the Makeup Forever. What you're noticing though probably is that it's also a little bit yellow. I would definitely hit something as yellow as this with something a little bit more pink or a little bit more cool to kind of hit and neutralize that yellow. But nonetheless, you could still see the texture and you could still understand the performance in terms of coverage. Kind of healthy skin-like finish that Makeup Forever has as a key attribute, but it's delivering a higher coverage level in doing so. So if you are someone who likes the idea of coverage, but also likes the idea of a natural finish, this is Rare Beauty on this eye. This is my bare eye. Not going to be as blurring, but still offering a healthy skin-like effect. Definitely great for somebody with dry under eyes. Definitely set with powder. Your performance is going to vary based on your eye area and how much powder you use. Now, the winner of this round is going to be, just kidding, Haus Labs. This blend of silicones, as lightweight as it feels, and the ability for me not to have to use powder is what gives it the gold medal for me here in comparison to Natasha. And the most natural looking concealer, especially depending on how much product you use, will be Rare. So keep that in mind when you're choosing what's going to work for you. I'm still going to use all these concealers. Now, the finale. We have our Haus Labs concealer, our Haus concealer, and our Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin. We're gonna do rapid elimination. Who's gonna win? Haus Labs first. We know her flock, we know her lay down. You wanna be thinking what is going on quickly. When a concealer is really rich and really creamy, sometimes it has an issue in terms of blending where it's gonna take me a little longer. All of these are the factors you should be evaluating. Do you want your concealer to go on in 30 seconds? Do you want your concealer to go on in 1 minute and 30 seconds? Sometimes you're gonna get more hydration out of the creamier style products. With a concealer like Haus Labs, that is another one of my favorite attributes because I get the fast lay down due to the nature of the base and the silicones and the way that they're laying down for me. Quick, nice lay down, my nice medium coverage. Don't look overdone. I love how she wears. Next, let's compare it to Haus. Let's do a side-by-side evaluation. Both these concealers are gonna live in the world of a medium style coverage. Both these concealers are gonna be buildable. Notice that the Haus still looks a little bit wet, meant to have a more natural effect. It also has no silicones. Haus Labs is loaded with silicones. Personal preference. Silicones are not bad for your eye area. area. We have caffeine inside here for our depuffing action. Inside Haus Labs, we have our fermented arnica. Both of these products are gonna give a different style look. I consider my Cosas a daytime eye cream. I consider my Haus Labs the highest performing product. 6 hours from now, Cosas is not gonna look like this. 6 hours from now, Haus Labs is. And for that reason, she's gonna be a winner. That means we're gonna knock out Cosas and we're gonna swatch Mario in place. Remember, it's rapid fire elimination round.
This is the ultimate showdown.
How did we get here? Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun. It's Barbie and Ken, bitches.
Look, it's like their moms are watching.
Oh my God.
And ours is just like the proud aunt.
Oh, this is just OG. Like, this is the grandfather. Here we go. They want front row seats. Let's move them. Mario against Haus. Let's apply Mario. Mario against Haus. Grand finale.
Look, it's like their moms are watching.
Oh my God. Here we go. They want front row seats. Let's apply Mario. I do not have a concealer in my assortment that sets as quickly as this. The novelty of both the Mario and the Haus Labs is I can wear both of these without powder. Your thin skin under your under eyes has less sebaceous glands, which means less oil production, which means even if you're super oily, your under eyes may not be. Prep matters, but so does performance. This Haus Labs will outperform the Mario. What ends up happening around hour 7 or 8 after wearing Mario is the fact that it dries down so remarkably quickly. I've started to notice little lines of little powder buildups. That's something that when I use any traditional concealer that you see hanging out on the sidelines watching, I used to layer powder, that would happen. My favorite thing about the Mario is how easy it is to use. Mario is putting artistry at the forefront with his concealer, and for that I love it and respect it. From a performance standpoint, I way prefer the Haus Labs. I'm going to have to award the winner of this tournament to Haus Labs. Every single concealer in this tournament is a winner for one reason or another, so make sure you find the one that's gonna work best for you. Let us know what you've tried. Should we do an encore? Say goodbye to Barbie Beach 2023 Concealer Volleyball Showdown. What should we do next, right?